All right, the topic is arrays. There are two types of arrays, 1D and 2D arrays. So, what is the purpose of an array, or what is exactly an array?
To
So
store
far,
a value.
yeah, so far we have only discussed about variables. We can have variables in our programs to store data. Uh, but what's wrong with variables? Why do we need arrays? Arrays are also used to store data like variables. The difference is a variable can only store one single value, whereas an array can store multiple values at the same time. For example, if you want to store names of your friends, and let's say you have 50 friends and you want to store their names. So in your program, you will require 50 variables for all 50 friends. So that doesn't sound very feasible or very practical. Maybe somebody has 1000 friends. So would you be using 1000 variables? So how would you come up with 1000 unique names for those variables? So that's not very practical. So the solution is arrays. So you can use a single identifier name and store multiple values. And you can have 1D arrays and 2D arrays. A 1D array is just like a list of items. So how do you, for example, create a list of items? Uh, so let's say that we have this list of, sorry, fruits, and we create this list by saying, all right, we have this mango, apple, orange, banana, peach, for example. So we create a list of these 5 items. The name of the list is fruits. It has 5 elements. Each of the element has an associated index with it, or typically you call it a serial number, maybe. In terms of an array, we call these serial numbers the index of the array. So you would say that the array element mango is stored on the index 1 of the array fruits. Array element apple is stored at index 2 of the array fruits, and so on. So how do you declare an array in a program? So typically when you declare a variable, like if you want to declare a variable a, you would write it like this: declare a colon integer, for example. So that means a is a variable of type integer which can hold one single integer value. And if you write a is equal to 10, that means you're actually assigning 10 to the variable a. And after that, if you write a is equal to 20, now you're assigning the value 20 to the variable a. That means now the variable a has the value 20, and the value 10 has been overwritten. It's gone. You cannot recover it, obviously. There's no means for that. So that means whenever you assign a value to a variable, the previous value, if it has any, will be overwritten by the new value. So you can only hold a single value in a variable. So that's what the problem is here. And the solution is to use an array. Now the question is, how do we declare an array? So let's say that we want to declare an array. Fruits is going to be an array 1 colon 5 of string. So fruits is the name of the identifier, or it's the identifier name of an array with size 5 of type string. All right. So I normally try to write the keywords in capital letters so that you know that which of these words are keywords. So fruits is obviously not a keyword. Uh, it's the name that we can use as identifier. So we have used fruits here. Rest of the words, they are keywords. This one called 5 means the lower and upper bound of the array. One means that the excuse me, the one means the this is the starting index of the array, and 5 is actually the last index of the array. All right. Now, how do we use this array? How do we refer to this? If you, for example, write something like this, is this statement, assignment statement, a valid statement?
No, sir.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be valid because there is some ambiguity. The fruits identifier is an array, as you can see here, and you cannot refer to an array like this. You're trying to refer to an array uh, like it's a variable. So you have to refer to an array by using the subscript operator, the pair of square braces. And if I write 3 here, that makes it valid. So this statement now becomes a valid assignment statement. So this value pineapple, the string value pineapple, is now stored in the fruits array on the third index. So you would say that this will replace this value orange here. All right.
Sir, don't we have to start in a particular order? Can we store any random variable like this? Or
Yeah.
should we start from one, two,
You know,
three,
no,
and on?
that's not necessary. You can
Okay,
access the array randomly, like this. For example, uh, the name of the array is fruits, and the square braces, they're actually the subscript operator. And what is expected here is an integer value. So this can be 3 or 1 or anything. So that would simply access that particular element of the array. In this case, the third index. So it can
right.
be anything. It can be 1. It can be anything. Or
Right.
even if you say that, all right, let's do this. A colon integer, and you say that A has the value 4, and here instead of 1 you write A. So where is this value going to be stored now? This pineapple value.
So on the fourth, instead of banana, I
Yeah,
guess.
it will override this value banana here, and this will be written here on the index 4. And what about this one? What's going to happen
Uh,
now?
I think instead of peach.
Yeah, here, exactly. So A plus 1, A is actually 4, so 4 plus 1, 5. So the index evaluates to 5. So we are actually going to refer to the index 5 of the array of fruits. So here we are going to write the value on the fifth index. All right. So that means the subscript operator should evaluate to an integer value. But what about this?
So it should store on the 14th variable, but I think it will give an error because
Not
this
14th
particular.
variable. You would say that, you should say that 14th index of the array.
Okay.
But the thing is, there is no 14th index of the array.
I think it will give an error.
All right, this is an error. How many types of errors are there? Have I already told you about the different types of errors?
Syntax, logic, and runtime.
Yes, all right. So you know the three types of errors. So this statement is definitely an error. So can you tell me which type of error it should be?
Logic?
Logic. All right. Actually, this is not a logical error. This will be a runtime error. Runtime error. Because when the uh, when the processor is going to try and access this index of this array, it will find out that there is no such index. Actually, it runs into a problem that it cannot solve. It's unable to evaluate this. So there is no 14th index. So this will cause a runtime error.
Right.
So that's the most dangerous error because when a runtime error occurs, the statements written after that statement, for example, if this statement causes a runtime error, the program will crash right here. And any statements written after this line, after the statement, will never get executed. So if you, for example, have taken input from the user before this line, and you had to save all that data somewhere in a file after this line, that data will never get saved in the file because the program has crashed here. So that would result in a very serious error. The data could not be saved and you lost maybe precious data. So runtime errors are always very dangerous.
Okay, sir.
All right. So that causes a runtime error. And the runtime error would be index out of bound exception or index out of bound error. All right. Now, if we, for example, have to fill in this array uh, by taking input from the user, we can do this simply by using a repetition structure. So we take input from the user and we store it directly into the array like this. So the variable a is of type integer. The initial value of a variable is 1. So this means for the very first time when this array will be accessed with this variable a, we're going to access the first index 1 of this array. And the value that is input is stored, uh, will be stored on this first index 1 of this array. Then this next would increment the variable a by 1 and it becomes 2. So we are going to access the index 2 of the array fruits. So the next value that will be input will be stored on the index 2 of the array. Then next makes it 3, the variable a, and we are going to actually access the element 3 or index 3 of the array, and so on. So we can simply fill in the array with the input given by the user. All right. Okay, then we can use 2D arrays as well. A 2D array is simply like a matrix or a table which has rows and columns. So it has two dimensions. So when you have to, for example, declare a 2D array, the array would have obviously two dimensions. First, you mention the number of rows it has, and then the number of columns it has. So let's say we declare an array. All right, my array. So this would declare an array called my array with these two dimensions. So this means this array is going to have 3 rows and 5 columns. And how do we refer to an element of a 2D array? My array 2 comma 5. So this would actually store this string value on the second row and fifth column of the array called my array. Right. So if you want me to draw a map of this, for example, so we have 3 rows here and 5 columns per row. So for example, if let's say to make it simpler, let's say that this is an array of integer, and let's say this value is, let's say, 10. So we are trying to store the value 10 on this place, second row and fifth column. So where is it going to be stored?
The last column of second row, I guess, where row number is 2 and then it's 5.
Yeah, right here. So this is where this is going to be stored. The second row and this fifth column. This is where this is going to be stored, this value. All right. So it's like a matrix or a table, this 2D array. So you can use it as per your requirement. It's not necessary that you use a 2D array. You first need to understand the requirement of your program and what kind of data you are trying to manipulate. and accordingly you would be using the array, maybe 1D or 2D. Typically we'll be dealing with 1D arrays. All right, any questions so far?
No, sir. It's